Okay, this meeting is called to order, and let's take attendance, starting with Encore.
Encore Sicario, Senior Counsel at the Controller's Office, and a designee of Controller O'Connor.
County Executive Sarah Namorano.
Judge Basham.
Rob Perkins.
Councilmember Bethany Hallam.
Manny.
And also, point of order, Judge, I just want to officially, for the record, object to the illegal designee. It is against state law that Controller O'Connor
Okay,
sends a
thank
designee.
you. Can the
Encore
people on
can't vote.
teams identify themselves?
Where is it down? So that we don't hear. Somebody was speaking.
And then after you identify yourselves, can you mute yourselves because we're having a lot of feedback in here?
If you look at the screen, I think they're all muted. So what's the noise? Look, all of them have a mute.
I can't see.
Okay, we have Judge Bigley on teams. Barbara Griffin is on teams. And who are the two other people, please? Identify yourselves. Well, maybe they can't.
It's a million.
Thank you.
I saw somebody from IT is on here.
It's a million.
Oh, that's you?
Oh, Tom, is the feedback because? Okay, Judge Bigley.
Nobody.
Okay,
Somebody in the room had their audio on.
okay, can you guys mute yourselves, please? Okay,
Tom, who is unmuted.
Okay, does this work now? Are we hearing feedback still? No, it sounds
no,
good.
okay, it's fixed. Wow, okay. Public comment on board actions and motions, Tanisha Long. Oh, I forgot my timer.
All right, so I hope that every board member has received a copy of their attendance for the year. I would like to note that Sheriff Kraus has attended 50% of meetings, and Judge Bigley has only been here 62.5% of meetings. I would like to remind you that this job is, most of you are elected officials. You chose to take on this responsibility, and you chose to take on the responsibility of representing incarcerated people and the employees of the Allegheny County Jail. So maybe we would take it a little bit more seriously and actually show up. Last week, 5 of you chose not to attend. 4 of you did attend. Manny and Bethany hopped on a flight right after. So if it's important enough that they're able to delay their trip to New Orleans to be here, you would think that it'd be important enough for you to be here.
This is for comment on action items, not on people's attendance.
Reclaiming my time, 1. 2, I will be talking about action items. So as long as I touch on that, and none of this time I'm talking right now to correct this is going to count against my 3 minutes, as long as I'm talking on that, I can say whatever I want in the course of my comment. So please don't interrupt me. Anyways, the reason I say that is because the people who chose not to show up to this meeting also are the people who denied us a quorum to vote on this issue. And that's important. Your behavior signals what you care about and what you hold as important. The same people who make it their job and their career to judge the intentions, intent, and meaning of the actions of others chose not to attend the meeting and deny them quorum. They're also the same 2 people who voted no for the 125 last time. Of the 5 people who did not attend, 4 are elected officials, 0 are directly impacted, and 5 are white. The people in the jail are 65% black. The decisions you make affect a majority black population, and you cannot be bothered to attend. These are important issues. There are people who are more qualified to sit on this board who are not here, who would love that opportunity, but you cannot be bothered to show up. These are people, the people in the jail are relying on this money. They're relying on this money so that they can talk to their families, so that they can have video visits, so that they can supplement the poor quality of food that's in the Allegheny County Jail, and you can't be bothered to show up because you wanted to deny a quorum. So me, as a public citizen who came here at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, which is crazy because this meeting is also in violation of the Sunshine Act because it's not written and posted anywhere, me, who could show up mid-work, cares more about the people in the jail than you do. And it is absolutely an attempt to subvert the public and deny public participation by hosting this at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. You work in the courthouse. You could have been there at 4, and you chose not to. Thank you.
Maria Guido.
Maria Guido, licensed clinical social worker, transformative bonds. So I'm just going to piggyback on Tanisha's last comment. This meeting, I do feel, was scheduled at a time to discourage public participation. I definitely feel that way. And I was actually supposed to be part of a meeting to talk about doing more things at the jail that would be better for the people at the jail and that would decrease a lot of the issues at the jail. But instead, I am here at 12 p.m. on a Wednesday because you guys decided to schedule this. Here's the thing. I don't care if this meeting happens at Friday on a 9 p.m. I don't care if this meeting happens on a Sunday morning at 5 a.m. I will be here. I will be here. These funds, we're okay with these for 2 more years. From what I understand, 2 more years. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me I am. They're generated from the profits this county receives from phone calls, video visits, and commissary. If we didn't charge people that much, we wouldn't have an issue with this. We wouldn't even need this fund, okay? Giving the money back to the people is the moral and right thing to do, especially with the history of this facility, okay? This fund, again, it creates fairness that no one has to be without just because they don't have the resources to do it. Removing this money places the undue burden on families of incarcerated people. It takes away their ability to receive calls and video visits. This is disproportionately affects those in RHU, the medical pod, and those from out of state. I come here every single month and talk about how we can change this jail if we change the culture of it. If you have people that are calm and are being taken care of, the CEOs are calm and being taken care of, and vice versa. So if we take this money away, this is going to increase the issues. Again, I don't care if it's at a 9 p.m. on a Friday. I don't care if it's a 5 a.m. on a Sunday. I will be here. Thank you.
Maura Kalita.
Good afternoon. Maura Kalida, K-A-L-E-I-D-A, from Brookline, longtime listener, first-time speaker. But I've been noticing a pattern across Pittsburgh, and it's a lot of folks in power not showing up and doing the job they're supposed to do. And so I just do want to call attention to, and shame to, the orchestrated, undemocratic act of not showing up to the meeting 2 weeks ago. I don't know if it's to avoid votes, avoid a debate, definitely to avoid a quorum. But it's a waste of our time, it's a waste of the public's time, and we depend on you to do that job. It creates distrust, and it's happening, like I said, not just with this board, but also with our school board, with our city council. So, you know, we've seen this before when this legislation has come up. No prior board has taken issue with this, except when the controller snuck out before the vote. You know, removing the money from this fund, from the folks in the jail, puts an undue burden on families, takes away their rights, their ability to receive calls and video visits, and it disproportionately affects those in RHU, the medical pod, and those from out of state. I just want to say that this would reset the jail's economy, which is going to create a safety risk, and that giving the money back to the people is just the moral and right thing to do. Creates fairness so that nobody has to be without, and so that they don't have to have outside funds to support themselves. So I'd just like to ask that you show up first, and then you vote to continue to provide these funds. Thank you.
Josh Thyler. Josh Thyler. Sharon Bonavoglia. Oh.
Josh Thieler. I didn't know that I signed up, but 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, yeah, missing work for this, had to move work meetings. We vote to put you guys here to take care of stuff like this for us, so we, the public, don't have to take away from our jobs and the things that we're doing. And whenever you're trying to take away, money that is, the incarcerated individual's money, it's their money, you're taking it away from them. I mean, how much do they really have? And you're taking this little bit more away. It's absolutely absurd and inhumane. You're sitting here because we want you to look out for our community members, our neighbors who are in that jail. And I don't think that that's too much to ask. You want to be here? I would love if you showed us. I would love if you showed the people in that jail that you want to be here for them and do what you can to make, very difficult times just that little bit better, I guess that's all I have to ramble right now, but thanks.
Sharon Bonavoglia.
I'd like to start by saying that I think it's important that we see the people that are on the board and that we know exactly what they're doing during public comments. And I'm disappointed that I'm seeing initials of people that are board members. PIN is strongly encouraging the JOB to keep the IIWF payments at $125 until and unless the overcharging for phone calls and commissary changes. It is one of the few truly just actions from this JOB that is just to the residents and to their families, since the money comes out of their pocketbooks and not ours. It comes out of their pocketbooks. We also will continue to use this space to encourage both Judge Bigley and Judge Ivashevic to use the power and authority in your courtrooms to hold detainer hearings and to lift as many as possible, because it directly relates to the overpopulation in the jail. We also ask that you both use your influence with peers to do the same. Thank you, Barbara Griffin, for turning on your camera. I greatly appreciate it. Shame on you, Judge Bigley, for not being able to see you. And now, if you are able, please rise for the reading of the names of the dead. Richard Lenhart, Robert Blake, Cody Still, Daniel Pastoric, John Brady, Martin Buchek, Robert Harper, Vinkley Harris, Justin Brady, Paul Allen, Roger Millspaugh, Paul Spisak, Gerald Thomas, Jerry Lee Ross Jr., Victor Joseph Zelenek, Ronald Andrus, Anthony Tolada, William Spencer, James Washington, Damon Leroy Kays, Tim Menino, Douglas Bonomo, Zachary Som, Nicole Barufi. Richard Shuba II. Terrence Clowney. Tracy Hickey. Justin McAuliffe. And I'll take the remainder of my time to say that I move heaven and earth to be at every one of these meetings, and I have been at every one of these meetings.
Summer
I didn't want to
Oliphant.
be. And I've been at every one of these meetings since August
Summer
of 2022.
Oliphant. Please remove
Is there
her.
going to be a beep?
Where's the sheriff? For the record, I haven't been in criminal division since February, so I don't have any control over any detainers. Go ahead, Miss Oliphant.
President Judge! You're the president judge! You have control.
Please.
Come on, hold our judges accountable. If I'm in your courtroom, I'm gonna...
Can you remove her?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't warn her before removing her. Wait, what? You didn't warn her first. Yep, she got warned me, so I'm gonna
Okay.
stay back. That's my warning.
Good afternoon. I didn't plan on speaking today, but I believe this topic is too important to just sit quietly while it's being discussed. It is discouraging to know that the individuals tasked with looking out for the jail and those housed within it would even consider taking this money away from those incarcerated. At the end of the day, these are human beings who deserve dignity. When board members can't be bothered to show up and discuss matters as important as funds, allowing folks in the jail to speak to family and have commissary, is very discouraging as a resident of this county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Popovich.
Hello, my name is Joe Popovich. I am a current resident of Pittsburgh, a master's student at Pitt, and I'm also a formerly incarcerated individual. I'm speaking in today of a small course correction to the one-time monthly payment to keep the fund solvent. I want this to be clear. I don't want this to be an open invitation to repetitively reduce the fund. After reading through the analysis of the welfare fund, one big takeaway I had was there was language about increasing purchasing power, but only in relation to like splitting the payment where some of the money goes to programs like basketballs and others to a smaller reduction in payment. I want to take a step back and look at purchasing power in general. Where the hell would I go? One of the first universal conversations one has when going to prison is, you won't believe the prices once you get there. Ramen noodle soups are 28 cents. That was pre-COVID. What was your price when in your county? And everyone shares $1.25, $1.50. I believe the price for ramen is $3 to $4 in our county. If a reduction of the welfare fund is necessary, then a high priority in the future should be to review some of the commissary suppliers and look for alternatives. A bedrock staple item in prison is a ramen noodle soup and coffee. If you could just have access to just a small reduction in these items, I believe you could increase the amount of that inmates would have to spend on hygiene or phone calls or anything else. If a reduction is possible, I think a proactive look before we do this, or at any point, of the items would increase the purchasing power. Kind of lost my train of thought in the end, but thank you.
Joe Popovich. Oh, sorry. Laura Perkins.
Hi there, Laura Perkins. I am a resident of Pittsburgh. I want to acknowledge that the word citizen, if we say we are citizens, we are excluding folks that are here and should be here, and we want them to be here, so let's all use the word resident instead of citizen. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that there is an illegal member on the dais, how do you say that word, up there? Dais. Encore is illegally there, and he should not have a vote. All right, so the Incarcerated Individual Welfare Fund, we need money for this. The reason for that is because these quote-unquote welfare services should be available to all incarcerated individuals and not be contingent on money. Incarcerated individuals do not earn a living wage. So when we think about how they need to spend money that they are not being paid a living or even a legal wage because we have slavery in our jail, and they have to spend that money on basic items. That is the basis of this conversation, that we're expecting people that do not have money to pay for basic goods to pay for those basic goods. And basic goods meaning spending money to meet their caloric need, their physical caloric need. So folks that are voting against any raise are saying that we don't believe that people in the jail should have access to food, the calories that they need to live. Some of these welfare services, previously, the Discharge and Release Center was funded by the Incarcerated Individual Welfare Fund. How is that just an option, like something that, oh, maybe they need this service and we're gonna let them pay for this service? The Discharge and Release Center, isn't that one of the most important aspects of the jail? Don't we want the folks in the jail to go out into society and not come back? Because that is mostly on the Discharge and Release Center. And before, that was funded by the Incarcerated Individual Welfare Fund. If we are able to find funds for the Discharge and Release Center, we should be able to find funds for other basic services and not charge incarcerated individuals for access to calls and video calls. We should not have to charge them for those things. So I'm here to comment as a resident of Allegheny County to say, one, shame on you for not voting to put more money in this. We should all be fighting to figure out other ways so that those services apply to everyone in the jail. Everyone should have access to those, and we shouldn't make it contingent on them having enough money to sustain themselves. Thank you.
Dean Stanley. Okay, review of the meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved. For both, or are you doing one at a time?
Well, let's do one at a time. July 3 of 2025.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion regarding, first, I would note that the date is wrong on August 7. It says 24 instead of 25. Can we get that corrected? Okay, so with the correction of the year, do I have a motion to approve the August 7, 25?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. No old business, new business. We have a motion to approve IIWF monthly disbursements of $100 for September through December of 2025, and presented by Member Perkins.
Yes, Judge, are we going to be able to? There's been a lot of discussion today about, the finances of the plan. Is there not, can we
We'll
talk to
have
DHS?
discussion.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Should we have that before we discuss the motion? Just to ask some basic questions about solvency and things of that nature?
Well, I think the motion should be on the floor.
Okay, all right. I'll put the motion on the floor to approve II monthly disbursements of $100 for September to December 2025. I am going to amend that, but Councilmember Hall, I'm not sure the logistical process.
Yeah, I think we need a motion in a second, and then it's on the floor, and then I can propose an amendment.
Okay, so
Any
moved.
second?
I'll second. You seconded? All right, well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I would like to motion to amend. I'd be cool if these were separated and decided on separately. First of all, instead of the $100 a month, which would be a $25 per month reduction that is being proposed, I would like to motion to continue it for $125 per month. That would be my first one. And my second one would be a motion to, Mr. Perkins' motion makes the disbursements, approves the disbursements from September to December. Just historically, having been on this board, the January meeting is a very chaotic one. It's the first one of the year. Some people are still away for the holiday. I worry about a lack of a quorum and don't want, the incarcerated individuals to be without their money. So I would propose whatever dollar amount that we pass, that it be approved through January 2026, and then we would revisit this in February's meeting. And so I guess I would ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, well, you proposed two different things. So Manny, what are you seconding?
I'll second it to continue at $125 a month.
And I'll second the January to including January as well.
Okay, all right, discussion. I think DHS is just here to answer questions, right?
Do whatever you like. Yeah, we don't need a presentation, we've seen it, thank you.
But does she want,
But
you want
I
to
would
do it for
like
the public?
to discuss.
You want to do it for the public?
I think someone muted the main.
You can't
Yeah,
hear
I
us.
didn't hear anything. Someone hit mute on you all. I didn't hear anything after, I believe that DHS is.
They're here to, they're here to answer any questions from us as we're debating these motions.
Would you like DHS to make a presentation?
Yes, would they provide a summary of the
Okay, could you
findings?
provide a summary of your study, if you don't mind, Ms. Dalton?
Thank you, Director.
Do you all like copies as well? We can distribute some copies of a report as well as some slides. I'm Erin Dalton. I'm the director of Allegheny County DHS. This is Katie Collins. She's our chief analytics officer. If it's okay, I'll just I'll start with a kind of high-level overview and then allow for questions. Does that sound right? All right, and appreciate the opportunity to inform. I think it was interesting to take a look at what how the Inmate Welfare Fund has been used and some things that I didn't expect to find. So let's see. So starting at the top, 63% of folks who were in the jail in 2024 received at least one payment. As folks have maybe already kind of started to discuss, the most frequent time that people didn't receive a payment is if they were there for 2 weeks or less. And so considering dispersing more frequently would mean that more folks, of course, would receive that payment. There is an issue. While a lot of folks receive money from other sources, 20% of people who receive the inmate welfare funds or incarcerated persons funds did not receive any other deposits in their account. Most of those folks stayed there for less than a month, but there is a population that without these funds would not have any other funding in their account. Sort of interestingly, I guess I would have expected to find that external deposits would have reduced with the increase in money going directly into people's accounts. We did not find that. Family and friends continued to deposit in people's accounts and increase those deposits a little bit. People who were in the jail who received funds during their first month spent more on every category of purchase, and the greatest difference was in the commissary items, but they did spend money on communications and other ways of spending money in the jail. Folks asked us to look at how money was being spent in the commissary, and while certainly there was money spent in all areas, including basic hygiene, about 90% of the commissary funding was spent on food-related items. A piece that I think was important to look at and interesting is that people leaving the jail who did receive funding from this left with more money than those who didn't. And I think that's an important piece for consideration. For people who were in the jail for a short period, so 1 month or less, if you received a payment, you left with a median of $125, which is $105 more than others. But even without that, folks who received money in their account were 5 times more likely to leave with balances of $50 or more. So leaving with money is a thing that the Inmate Welfare Fund is providing to people. That said, longer stayers were more likely to spend that money during that time, but still left with more money than if they had not received those dollars. We looked a little bit at literature on cash payments across the country. At release, we find relatively mixed results. We looked at outcomes for our own population and didn't find statistically significantly different outcomes in reincarceration, emergency room stays, and emergency shelter, where you might have expected that those dollars to have had outcomes there. We didn't find them, but but we did take a look, and people are leaving with more dollars. So I think that's the high-level findings. Katie, miss anything big?
Sure. Encore.
Thanks for coming, Director. Could you speak a little bit more to the finding number 1 regarding the finding that 63% of individuals booked at the jail in 2024 received at least one? Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think it's really just a matter of how long people are there and when the money is approved to be dispersed and when it gets dispersed. And so we've talked a little bit with the jail about whether more frequent disbursements would be practical and possible. And I think while there are some administrative costs, it's possible to disperse more frequently.
If I could just follow up, my next question's about any findings regarding recidivism. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Let me just turn to that piece because, yeah. So, and look, there's probably other ways to run this. We looked at people released with no money compared to people who were released with $75 or more. We looked at the folks leaving the jail in 2024. And while there are some small differences in rebooking, so about 9% of folks were released who were released with no money were rebooked within 1 month. Slightly less, so 7%, that's not statistically different, right? So small differences there, but they aren't statistically different. We looked at emergency shelter with the expectation that people might not be able to find housing if they didn't have some money in their pocket. Again, no statistical differences there, about 5 to 6% for each group. And again, a slightly higher rate of emergency room department visits, but not statistically different. So while we might hypothesize that we would have seen outcomes there, we didn't find statistically different outcomes, and that's relatively in line with the literature that's somewhat mixed. I think there's a lot of work left to be done in this work to know how much money is meaningful, how it's provided, whether it comes with other counseling and other supports. But this is just like, a look at the data and the outcomes for those folks.
Thank you.
Mr. Perkins?
Thank you, Director. I have a couple follow-up questions. So with respect to that issue of 63% of the people receive the funds, that means 40% do not receive the funds, right? If we disperse twice a month, how many more people would get the money?
Yep, we've got that. Yeah. We'll check it. We think it's about 72%. Yeah. Weekly is 85. And weekly is 85. So that's, you can find that on page 6 of the report, right? Yep, and so twice a month, so currently at monthly, it's about 63%. Twice a month would be 74%, once a week, 85%. Every 3 days, 97%, every day, 100%.
Not to jump in, but not to put the jail on the spot, but can the jail speak a little bit to the logistics that would be involved in increasing the number of disbursements?
It would take a second processing. If you don't take the initial effort that it takes and you only take the additional effort of the second processing, it would take 3 different positions, which would be about 5 people, a total of 12 hours to reprocess. The other thing is to make the second process as efficient as possible. The second has to be with over a week between, and it has to be on the same day of the month. If it's not on the same, yes. If it's not on the same day of the month, then it's not an automated system, it's a manual system. And I didn't calculate that because that's actually adding staff to the situation.
So that the public understands, you can be incarcerated for 30 days and receive nothing because you weren't there on the first of the month. And you could be incarcerated 1 day and receive the whole amount because you happened to be there on the first of the month.
If it's processed that day after you've been there. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I want to be there for 1 day because I thought you run it on the first and then they get it on like the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th.
Yeah, it's the day it's run, is when you get it.
But you still get it.
I mean, you process it. So if you're there on the 1st,
You get it.
even though you would get it.
No, you get it on the 3rd, even though you might be released.
You're only there for a day.
If you were only in jail on the 1st of the month and you were released on the 2nd, you'd still get the money.
It would still be processed that you would get the money.
Yes.
Oh, so you're saying we're giving money to people after they're released? No, we're not.
Yeah,
Yes, we are.
It goes into their account.
It goes into their
As long as
account.
their account is active, it goes into their account.
But they're not in jail. So
It doesn't matter, they were there on the 1st.
As long as the account is active and until the account is deactivated, and if they were owed the money on the 1st and we processed it on the 1st, the money would be available for their account.
So you're saying people, sorry, my mic isn't on. So you're saying I'm in jail on the 1st, let's hope not, but I'm in jail on the 1st, okay? So I leave on the 2nd. On the 3rd, I can come back to jail and get my money?
It would be in that active account, and we would process that for you.
Never, ever heard that. There are thousands of people who need to know this.
Yeah, I never heard that either. How long do accounts stay active after somebody leaves?
That I can find out.
Accounts always remain active. So if you came back and you had money on your account, that money would still be on your account. You could come back a month later, get that money. We hold it. There is some state guidelines where we have to turn that into the state after a certain amount of time. What that is offhand, I'm not sure, but.
Because it is cheats. Is that why?
Pardon me?
It is cheats to the state? Is that why you have to give it to the state?
We can't hold that money eternally.
Right.
But we do hold it. There is a legal amount of time
Yeah.
where we have to keep it. And if people come back, that money's still on their account. And if they want to come and get that money, they can do that as well.
But if they don't get the money, it doesn't go back into the fund.
No.
It
No,
goes
she's saying
to
it's
the
on their
state.
account.
It's correct.
Well,
Under
I'm just
their
saying
name.
It doesn't go back.
Yeah, you're right. So we should basically then be auditing people who left the jail each month from the 1st to whatever date of disbursement and reaching out to those people. That's something we could do? All their money is sitting there? That's what I'm hearing right now. That would be awesome.
If the money was deposited and they didn't receive it, it's going to be on their account.
Wow. Fantastic news. Judge, you were right. I was wrong, but that's incredible, and I can't wait to talk more about that. Thank you.
Mr. Perkins, do you have more questions?
I do, thank you. So as far as the financial analysis that you did, what was the biggest revenue generator for the fund?
Yeah. We believe it's the commissary. We're checking the exact.
Yeah, it's on the page 3.
Page 3.
Actually, no, it's the telephone commissions.
Oh, okay. It's on page 3. It's not the commissary. It's the telephone commissions at 128,000, followed by followed by the commissary at 95 and tablet at 25.
So essentially, the profits that we derive from upcharging on the phone calls funds this, is the primary funder of this fund.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you were philosophically opposed to upcharging people for phone calls to call their loved ones, and you hope that we could, in the future, talk to a provider, make free phone calls, that would solve the problem of they could contact their loved ones, but that would also mean we'd have less money in this fund.
That's right.
All right, so let's say, hypothetically, if it were up to me, there was a contract in 2026, and we wanted to have free phone calls and not generate any income from people who are kind of prey to these contracts because they don't have any other options as far as making phone calls. How much a month could we afford going forward with this fund without the revenue from the phone commissions?
I mean, there's probably a bunch to that, including, the number of people in the jail and their expenditure rates and whether that changes their spending on other things. But Katie, that would be about $125K a month. And so I don't know what the math is on that.
Yeah, we modeled it out, and with no commission rates on the fund, I think it was a $67 a month to each individual would be sustainable, as long as nothing else changed. And there's a lot of, moving parts with jail population and how they're spending their money. But given kind of current state, it would be $67 to be sustainable with no phone commissions.
Okay.
So if we continue to spend $125 per month, the fund will be bankrupt.
If there are
the
changes. If
commissions
there are
go down.
changes.
If there are changes on commission. And what's the, sorry, are you done? Can I start? Or do you have more?
No, he's not done.
Oh.
Sorry, I interrupted.
That's okay. I think that's the most important point that I was trying to understand. And are you aware, maybe we are at this point, I know we can't talk about any details of contract negotiation, but that is a contract that'll be renewed in the near future, is that correct? Okay.
At the end of the year, the current contract expires, correct?
Our current phone contract is out for proposals, and those are being reviewed and scored. So once a determination and a provider is selected, we'll move forward with contracting with them. The current contract is a month-to-month contract pending this decision.
Because there was a discussion, someone had said it's going to be 2 years, we can't change anything, but, and I know we're all learning on the fly here, but this could be done, do we have a general timetable, the next few months versus 2 years?
Oh, a decision will be made on this in the coming months.
In the coming months?
Yes, sir.
So if you want to, assuming we all want to help people in jail call their loved ones, but make this fund sustainable, we can't afford $125 a month if those phone commissions go away, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's all the questions I
And
have.
I would ask Encore, because I know you did a study on, your office did a study on this, and I know the implementation of the law forcing the reduction of phone call commissions was delayed. But can you give a summary of your study?
Sure. The jail can also speak to this, but the ruling that was promulgated is from the FCC, and they basically cap the commission that governments can ask for, can receive as part of these telecommunications. And to your point, yes, that there was a delay in the implementation, the enforcement of that rule, I believe, and that's something that member Barbara had mentioned as well. I think that goes into effect in 27.
But initially, when was it supposed to go in effect? Do you remember?
Initially, it was for 26.
For 26.
Yeah.
And so you had run numbers that if that went effect in 26, this fund would be bankrupt if we continued to pay $125 a month, I believe sometime during the calendar year of 26. Is that
Yeah, and I think you're referencing the budget projections between the Controller's Office and County Budget Office, which put us at, depending on the enforcement of that ruling, put us in a 3-month window sometime in 26.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Innamorato, did you have a question?
More of a statement to provide some context to Member Perkins' line of questioning, as well as kind of add some color to what Director Dalton and Deputy Warden Clark was touching on. So, in our conversations with the warden and the leadership team, this has been something that has come up quite a bit. How do we reduce or eliminate any revenue that we're making? So, give free calls, look for folks who are willing to provide that service, not take money from families unnecessarily, really just, provide them with the actual cost of what it means to connect with their loved one, with their legal team outside of the building. That is what was asked of the people who submitted proposals. So that is a conversation that is happening now amongst leadership at the jail, in our budget office, throughout this administration, because that is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to not make money on people contacting their loved ones. Obviously, the other side of that coin is that we do not have revenue going into this fund. So I think right now we're trying to strike a balance between, getting a new provider that not taking any commission from calls starting out, right? We're going to have another contract for commissary that will be coming up, and maybe Deputy Warden Clark, you could touch on that, the commissary contract, but really trying to find the balance between how can we continue to support incarcerated individuals so that they can access telecommunications and commissary, while also planning for reduction of income for this fund, and also giving people more access, more free calls, and not charging any additional money for that service. So that is the ultimate goal. I think we're looking at a 2026 timeline. And I think what we have here is kind of a step down to kind of prolong that while also adding, things like reimbursement twice a month or disbursement twice a month so that more people can take advantage of this payment. So I just wanted to provide that context and the conversations that have been happening within my administration and knowing that that is a priority for us to achieve while when this contract comes up and is in a final proposal is accepted and implemented. So with all of that, Deputy Warden Clark, would you mind touching on the timeline for the commissary piece? Because I know we're talking about the telecommunications piece specifically that we're actively reviewing proposals from.
We are currently extending, we have a one-year option for an extension on the contract for commissary, which we're going to utilize. So that will put us a year from now at looking at a rebidding process for the RFP for commissary.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, so first of all, I want to start off, I want to make sure everybody realizes it feels like a couple folks are talking about two different things. Eliminating commissions and free calls are very different things. If you make phone calls and video calls free, equity, everybody has that. If you just eliminate commissions, it is only benefiting people who have somebody to put money on their books to be able to afford those reduced prices.
Can I provide some context for that?
Please, yeah.
So the request of the folks who were submitting proposals was twofold. One was to say, how much free calling can you offer? So that's a consideration, and that is part of the proposals that are being reviewed. And the second is eliminating commission. So it is not unlimited free calls, but rather 45 minutes a day or something, where I think we were talking at like different chunks. So, creating free, some limited free access, and then a base rate that does not include the county profiting from individuals making phone calls outside of the jail.
Yeah,
So
I very much knew that that was the proposal, but again, it's still not free calls versus reduced commissions. There would be a increased amount of free calls available, but phone calls would not be free. You would still pay if you used in excess of that 45 minutes a day. I know that's just the number you're using, but free calls is a thing that states across the country do. Completely free phone calls in jails, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about maybe 45 minutes an hour and free calls a day, and then anything above that would be at a smaller commission. And so I just
Sorry, just to clarify, it's not a commission, it is just they're covering the cost of the call. So the county is not making any commission, it is just, this is how much the service provider charges for an outgoing call.
Right, sorry, I meant commission for them, but yes, I very much understand that, because again, this was a conversation that there was a lot of talks about 5 years ago. I introduced an ordinance at County Council, where I still serve today, to eliminate all profits made off the jail. So that would mean nothing was free, but no profits on phone calls, no profits on commissary items. And the reason that we inevitably, other than the political climate sucked a little more then than it does now, actually, probably not true. But anyways, the reason we decided not to do that is because we realized that we could instead just take that money that we're getting. The county at the time was having a 69% profit on phone calls that the county was getting, in addition to various profits on commissary items. And we realized, well, why don't we just take that money that's sitting in this fund already and being used for things that arguably the jail's operations budget should be used for, and instead just give it to people, because like multiple public commenters said tonight, it is their money. This is not taxpayer money. No taxpayer dollars go to this. So the argument that you hear often when it comes to let's kill these social services that really, really help people is, oh, I don't want my tax dollars going to it. That's why this is so cool, is it is literally money that is the people's who we are giving it back to, and we are then distributing it equally to everyone in the jail. If, 2.5 years ago, when, this started, 4.5 years ago? 5 years ago now we've been doing this, but 2.5 years ago the jail population was 1,350 people. Today we're almost at 2,000 people. So if we're talking about sustainability, a great way to make the fund sustainable is to reduce the jail population. You know, I know that's outside of most of the members of the board's jurisdiction, but I just want to be very clear, like how much cheaper it would be if we were even just at the jail population that we were at 2.5, 3 years ago. Second of all, this means so much to people when we are in the jail doing our inspections, when we're out in the community talking to people getting out of jail or people who have been recently in jail over the past few years. Like, they are just so excited to meet two of the people of the team that are responsible for helping them survive in jail. Like, jail sucks. And so even when we're talking about 45 minutes a day of free phone calls, well, I'm in my cell for 21 hours a day, sometimes more than that if the jail's on lockdown. What am I filling that time with? Okay, I used up my 45 minutes of calls. Now what do? I don't have any money, and I'm sitting in my cell. And so I think it's really important to think about, like, this is something small. This doesn't cost us anything. And we have all the evidence that shows that that nothing's going to change. No new contract is going to be implemented till at least January. We've heard that tonight, and I think it could even be longer. Is that true? Like, the actual implementation of the new contract?
It's hard to speculate at this point. We're hoping to have a determination in the coming months, and then the contracting will happen. So an exact time frame, I don't know.
Okay, I appreciate that. And so, again, why change anything right now? I very much understand if we want to reevaluate the sustainability of it once there are new contract terms and new commissions, but right now, no one disagrees that if nothing changes at all, it's solvent. If the commissions don't change, if we were under the same contracts going forward, it'd be solvent. And so with my amendment to do this through January 2026 with the same amount we've been doing, there is no dispute from anyone involved in any of these conversations that we will be cool to do that. We have enough money to do that. So why change it now? I appreciate these conversations we've been having over the past couple months about this. I really appreciate the jail and DHS and everybody on this board, like, coming together about it. This is a great point we're at. Let's keep it how it is for as long as we know we can keep it how it is. If we get this new contract, that's great. Reevaluate the amount we're given. I do very much support the idea that has been brought up now numerous times about doing it twice a month. I think that's a great idea. So again, my support would be $125 a month, twice a month, September through January. That would be what I would ask everyone to agree to do right now. And I think that's all I have. And Manny, you're next.
All right, well, I want to start off by thanking everyone who attended and provided some public comment. I do think these meetings are important. Of course, it was mentioned that at the last meeting, we, right afterwards ran to the airport because we were supposed to be in New Orleans at the time. As you can see, I'm in work clothes. I'm going to be going back to the job site that I left to be at this meeting. And it's important to say because most of the commenters commented on the date and time of this meeting. We had no say in it. We had no say at all. It was told to us it was going to happen on this day. Bethany sent the email, said people have jobs, people work, it's in the middle of the day. And the response was, sorry, we're not going to change it. All right, so just so that everyone knows, that was not a decision that the board made. All right, that was a decision that I think one or maybe two people made. So we appreciate your presence, and I want to quote some of the things that was said earlier that I took down. I think it was Sharon, who we greatly appreciate, said that this incarcerated individual welfare fund, this $125 that we disperse every month, is one of the few truly just actions that this board takes. And I really appreciate that. Something that Laura Perkins said, who, of course, we greatly appreciate, says we don't have a wage in the jail. That's important to, raise up. I know it was discussed, it was voted on. I know there were funds put aside, and it hasn't been implemented yet. And of course, people talk about the clause in the 13th Amendment that says if you're incarcerated, then you can be a slave, or I'm sorry, if you're a convict, then you can be a slave. But most of the people in ACJ are not convicted. Yet they're not getting paid for anything. All right, so, this money is a way that they survive. And of course, I'm a big fan of DHS. Erin Dalton and her team do a great job. I appreciate the studies that you did here. And I heard you when you said that 20% of the folks inside of there do not get any additional deposits. All right, so it's 20% of 2,000. I'm not that good at math, but I don't see them as just, a percentage point. 400, that's a lot. And I don't see that as a percentage point. I see that as my community members. I see that as some of my family, some of my friends who I know are relying on those dollars. You know what I mean? you know, I've been around for a while, and I've probably said this a bunch of times. Commissary support is something that I've done for over 6 years now. All right, and you know, and I've been, you know, happy, and my bank has been a little bit happy when I say, well, just hold on, because you're going to get 125. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that, you know, you might not get it if you're not there for over a month. So I am in support of splitting the payments to increase the amount of people who are getting it. And something that I want to raise up, and of course, shout out again to DHS, making this very, very easy and simple to understand. Individuals who are incarcerated longer are more likely to receive funds. And the number one demographic of who is receiving those funds, 68%, are black men. All right, they're people who look like me, and you know, even if it was just my identity that would, I guess, allow me or make me obligated to represent the people who are in there. Beyond that is the fact that I have been incarcerated, and I know what it's like to go without the food, you know what I mean? I know what it's like to not have hygiene products that agree with you, and I know what it's like to not be able to, you know, contact your family and your loved ones. And probably most importantly, and DHS mentioned this, now folks are getting released with some money that gives them an opportunity to, you know, help set them up for success. It helps them to get home, helps them to maybe get something to eat, helps them to contact their people. And we've been outside of the jail, believe it or not, since 2019, greeting folks as they get released. And especially over the past few months with the additional, or the extended cashier hours, we really haven't been able, or we haven't been needed to provide as much support as we used to. You know what I mean? Of course, we still show up for the folks who are there, but as far as people who are getting released because of these funds, they're able to be, you know, self-sustaining and, you know, to a degree. I understand if something changes down the road and we have to reduce it, I'm in favor of that, especially if we're not, you know, profiting off of their calls, if we're not profiting even off of their commissary, and commissary prices are increasing. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's something that's been said today. Every time we go into jail, people complain about the price of commissary items. Matter of fact, it was mentioned how a pack of ramen upstate somewhere is less than $1, yet here it's double, triple, quadruple the price. And of course, that's by design. So the purchasing power is reduced, and now we want to reduce it even more because of, you know, conservatism of, you know, I guess, fears or concerns about the future. Now, I'm in support of continuing at 125, like you said, up until January, until something changes. There hasn't been a change yet. I understand planning for the future. I'm not against that. And I'm not against, you know, taking a change or making a change, even a reduction, if the actual system or if the way that these funds are dispersed or the commissions for the commissary or the telecommunications is reduced. I'm in favor of that. I think that's a bridge we should cross when we get there. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, the writing is on the wall that these commissions are going to be reduced. It is the law starting in 2027, and the jail administration has made it very clear that they are going to enter into a new contract probably by the end of the year. And when they're reduced, the DHS study says you'll only be able to afford to pay $67 a month to keep this fund sustainable. And I keep hearing about how it'll be so awful to have this drastic cut. It'll be so traumatic to have this drastic cut. So it seems to me to cut it down to 100 right now really is financially responsible. It's the responsible thing to do so that you can help the greatest number of people over the greatest period of time. And we will likely have to cut it more in January. It will be a less drastic cut if we do. It's just, to me, the writing is on the wall. You keep saying unknown, unknown. It's known. There's a law, and there's a new contract being negotiated. So
Judge, I'd like to call the question on my motion to amend.
More questions for them.
Yes.
I will uncall my question for right now.
Director Dalton, a couple of questions. One is, I looked at the spreadsheet. It looked like it was just closely solvent if we disperse once a month. If we disperse twice a month, is it solvent? If, assuming everything remained the same.
I'm looking at Katie because I haven't played with that part.
Yeah, we can follow up and give you a table, but if we're now dispersing to, 85% or 74% in terms of 63%, we'll be spending more money, correct? So we can give you the counts and actually calculate it out, but we haven't done that.
Just to follow up, does that mean that 67 might not be right?
It means that the 120 sustainable might not be right.
Okay. So, yeah, so just to further. Yep.
She just said, I didn't hear the end of that answer. The question was, is 67, something about 67.
Right. No, it was that currently the amount coming in and going out is about equal, and that's when we disperse to 63% of the jail population on a monthly basis. If you disperse more than once a month, you'll just be dispersing to more people, and therefore we can give you the actual numbers, but likely it will run out faster. It will not be sustainable at 125.
It won't necessarily be more people, though. I mean, it will be more people will receive funds,
Right.
okay, more of the population, but it will also cut some people out.
Right, exactly. So we can model it out. You're right.
It's kind of speculation.
Yep. So we can put a table together and send it to you with the scenarios, but correct. Like
But it'll be more fair. We know that. Right.
You're right.
Okay. Ms. Griffin, did you have a question?
Yeah, a couple of things. So, I also appreciate everybody's study and attention on this matter. I truly do believe there's consensus on the board about understanding the importance and the positive impact of these payments on the incarcerees, while also facing the reality that we have to be fiscally responsible and that there eventually will be a decrease at some point. So it's how we get there. I am, though, concerned about an abrupt decrease, even going to $100 starting next month. If someone cut my salary without any notice, it would be a strain. People, even if not budgeting wise for this money, mentally wise, I think people prepare for it and plan for it. So one of my questions is, either now or when we have to reduce it, is it feasible to do a staggered reduction? 125, then 110, then 115 until we get it, and maybe it has to go more quickly than that. But is there a possibility of a staggered reduction?
I think we can decide that, yeah. We can do that if we want.
There's no impact on the jail, right, to change the number? Okay. It's the board's call.
So Barb, to that point,
At this time of the year, I know that the majority of the money is spent on commissary, but I also, I think, heard in one of those studies that people send it to families. There have been families who said this is who pays the child support with that kind of money. It's back to school time. We're coming up on the holidays. It would be a tough time, I think, to reduce the payment. So and I am in favor of doing it twice a month. My inclination is to keep it at 125 through January, and then possibly think about some sort of staggered reduction.
Just so you know, incarcerated people's support orders are suspended when they're in jail, so they don't owe child support, and I don't think anybody spends this money on child support or fines or restitution.
Absolutely, people send this home to their family to help them take care of their kids. It may not be legal child support, but absolutely.
I think they do it.
Well, related to the point of the incremental reduction, I think that I think Ernest from the Executive's Office had used this phrase with this fund, what's the highest and best use? What's a smart way to spend the money? I think there is a fair question of whether it's better to drop from 125 to 100 now, and then from 100 to 75 if we get the contract that we're all hoping for. And versus if we do nothing now, then we have to drop it from 125 to 60 in January. That is a more drastic reduction, which would probably be more disruptive than a $25 reduction. It is hypothetical, but that's the goal. I think that's the goal the executives indicated. That's my personal goal. I don't think we should be profiting from these phone calls. And I understand the ecosystem was different 5 years ago, but it is true certainly that the money is people who's in jail's money and their families, well, their money. But we're taking, but they also, the money is from them. Like we're charging them these exorbitant fees, 100% commission for the phone call. So it's like, yes, it is their money, but first we take it out of their pocket and then we redistribute it. And given that was the reality, I think that was the best use of the funds at the time. I like the fact that there's agency over it. I agree with the public commenters that we shouldn't spend it on programming. We shouldn't spend it on the discharge and release center. It should be, those are things the jail should pay for, not individuals and their families. But to me, it's a policy question, and is it better to go from 125 to 60 in 5 months, or is it better to go to 100 now, maybe save some money, and then kind of see where we're at in January? I think that's a fair question and a challenging question. I think reasonable people can disagree.
Manny?
Yeah, I just want to add that I understand we're planning for the future. And like I said, I'm not against a reduction whenever we get to that point. But I've been coming to these meetings for a while, and I remember probably 2 years ago now, Corey O'Connor saying that we're going to run out of money, right? And it still hasn't happened. You know what I mean? He's been saying that for a long time, and it hasn't happened. And if we reduce it thinking, okay, we're going to run out of money eventually, the people who are there now are going to be paying the price for it. You know what I'm saying? That means that there will be probably hundreds or at least hundreds of people who are not going to be able to eat, not going to be able to communicate, and are going to leave the jail with nothing because of something that we're planning for that will eventually, hypothetically, happen. But right now, what's happening, people are in the jail and they need to eat. You know what I'm saying? They need to communicate with their people, and when they get released, they need some money to support themselves. You know what I'm saying? And as you said, it's their money, and I think we should cross that bridge when we get to it in January.
Thank you, Manny. I would like to call the question after. I would like to call the question on my first amendment to Mr. Perkins' motion, which is changing the $100 to $125. And I would, again, I think I already got a second, so if we could just vote.
Manny?
125 instead of 100.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
No.
I vote no. Ms. Innamorato?
Yes.
Yes. Encore?
No.
Judge Bigley?
They voted and Encore can't vote.
Ms. Griffin? I heard you vote no. Can you, Ms. Griffin?
Yes.
One, so that's 4 yeses and 4 noes.
No, well, 3 no's.
Well, 4
There's only 7 members of the board here. So 4 wins. So 125.
Ms. Hallam?
Do you want my second one, Judge?
No.
What?
No. Encore's vote does count.
Encore's vote does not count. Judge, please don't make me sue again.
I'm the chairperson, does sue.
But it's the law, Judge. You cannot count his
There's
vote.
a tie, the amendment doesn't carry.
But there's not
You
a
know
tie.
what? Get her out of here. I'm sick of her disruption.
Judge, that was not her.
Who was
That was
it?
not her.
Who was it?
It was not her.
Who was it?
I wasn't there.
I warned, stop it, the audience. Stop talking out of turn or you will
Don't take them
be
out of this meeting.
removed.
Don't make it a thing. Don't make it a thing. We're almost done, Judge. We got 5 minutes left. They'll chill.
Yep.
Judge, they'll
Let her
chill.
stay. What? No more outbursts or I will have you removed.
Okay,
the
so-
motion, I'm the chairperson, Ms. Hallam.
But Judge,
the
we
motion
read
does
the
not
same law.
carry.
The same law
The
applies to
motion
both
does
of
not
us.
carry. So now we're going to have a motion on, a vote on Mr. Perkins' motion
I'm
to
with you.
distribute $100 per month. Manny?
Wait, we still have 2 amendments.
I still have 2 other amendments, and that one did pass because it was 4-3. So,
Okay, so now there's amendment to change Mr. Perkins' motion to read September through January of '25. We will vote on that, 26, I'm sorry. We will vote on that. Manny?
Yes.
Ms. Hallam?
yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
I vote no. Ms. Innamorato?
Yes.
Encore?
Yes.
Judge Bigley?
No.
Ms. Griffin? Ms. Griffin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, now we have a motion to approve the monthly disbursements of $100 for September of '24 through January of '20.
Judge, for the record, I do object to the fact that you're saying it's only $100. Encore's vote does not count.
Actually, Mr. Perkins also amended to distribute the money twice a month, the 1st and the 15th.
Yes, Judge, I didn't know if Councilmember Griffin wanted to, were you indicating that you were going to amend the motion to make it an incremental reduction? Or was that like, I didn't know if that was a motion or not?
What, lower than 100?
No, to make it an incremental reduction more than $100, or 115, 110, or if that was an idea or if that was a motion to amend?
It was an idea, but would people be acceptable for I could propose an amended motion, amended to your motion.
Yeah, I just have a question about it, Barbara. I could be supportive of that if it was, are you saying like 125 in September, 115 in November, 105 in December, and 100 in January? Get it down to 100?
Yeah.
25, 15, I was saying 25, 15, 5, 100, but
125, 115,
105. And then 100 for January. And we'd reevaluate in February. So it gets to where they want to be. It's not a drastic reduction right away. It's like $10 a month.
Yeah, so,
I'll second that.
Is it for
okay.
once a month or first and 15th?
I think we're doing 1st and 15th. Did we vote on that yet? Was that last vote?
No,
first?
we didn't. What is your motion, Ms. Griffin? What is your proposed amendment, Ms. Griffin?
I proposed an amendment that the funds be distributed beginning in September 2025 for the amount of $125 a month, then in October, $115 a month, November, $105.
And December and January,
would be 100.
Okay, Manny. Vote on the amendment. Manny.
Yes.
Hallam.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
No. Inamorata.
Yes.
Encore.
And just to be clear, this is a one-time disbursement?
We haven't gotten
Well,
to that
there's
part
gonna
yet.
be
It's one
another-
time for now. We'll
Okay,
amend it later, but your
understand.
vote doesn't count anyways.
I vote yay.
No, that's ridiculous.
Bigley.
It's the law.
Griffin, it's your motion. Yes. Okay, motion carries. Now
Thank
we
you,
have an
Barbara.
amendment to divide the payments into two, on the payable on the 1st and the 15th. Manny.
Yes.
Hallam.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Yes. Inamorata.
Yes.
Encore.
Yes.
Bigley.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion passes, but again, Judge, I object to encore
I
voting
hear
on that
you
motion.
with the 10 other times you said
Thank you. I wanted to solidify it for the record.
Okay, so that's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Nobody signed up, I don't think. He's saying public comment. Everybody, encore, just forget it.
All in favor? Aye.
I am sorry, I didn't think about it till I left, that I wish that I had added that I was sorry that you guys were away from your very important jobs to do this as well. And that should be acknowledged, that this is a pain. in the- Yeah, and I'm sorry I did not mention it publicly. Oh, sorry, thanks so much.
How are you?